All right, I want to do a reading right now on a neurological condition known as misophonia. Now, literally translated, I guess, misophonia, it means the hatred of sound. And I have this, and I have since I've been a person that I can remember. And what tends to happen is certain sounds or movements cause rage and hatred and disgust on like a massive fucking level. It's pretty terrible. And there's no known like cure for this condition or anything like that. And it is surprisingly common. I think I know a few people that suffer from misophonia. So, what I want to look at is where the hell does it come from? Or, like, what exactly is going on, you know? So, let's just take a peek. Now, our root card is a reversed Five of Cups. Now, it's interesting because in the Five of Cups, you can see the dude there and he's plugging his ears. And that is pretty much an automatic for anyone that has this neurological condition, because that's really all you can do. You can close your eyes and plug your ears and just get away from whatever it is that is making the sound. It's usually a person. Barking dogs are also one that fucking sets me off. But the Five of Cups here, I mean, other than the literal symbol of plugging the ears, normally, so this is the old married couple, it's like emotional stagnation and all of that. But I think the fact that it's reversed instead of showing it like freeing up this emotional energy, I just think that it's really old. And it probably doesn't even come from this life. I think it's old stuff. Now, the main card that we get here is the Seven of Pentacles. Now, this is the witch practicing witchcraft. It's interesting because I've had some dreams that I have linked to this condition, and the dreams basically told me that there was some witch who put things in me, and they were described as horror forms. And I feel like this might be whatever is causing the misophonia. And even though it's considered a neurological condition, I've done a bunch of reading on this shit. The way that it makes the most sense to me and the way that it feels is that there are goblins in my head. And that makes way more sense to me than anything that I've read in a fucking, scientific paper or whatever. But it literally feels like there's goblins in my head. And there are certain sounds and movements that set these goblins off. And it's pretty terrible. But here, with the main card, we do have a witch practicing witchcraft, so there might be fucking some of that literally in there. But we also get the symbol of the blood. And I've tried to figure out before if this is genetic. And to my knowledge, there is no strong genetic link. But it might have something to do with blood. I would actually be interested to see if there's a link with blood type and misophonia. But let's just see what's on either side of this. What leads up to the witch, and where does that energy go? Now, truth be told, I did a reading for myself on this topic last night. And I was really interested to see the number of cups cards that came out because it seems to be centered, like triggered in the head. But all of the cards that came out were emotional cards. And it is true that the response is an emotional response. So here again, we have all of these cups cards. So the actual effect of misophonia is emotional, and that makes sense. All right. So leading up to this Seven of Pentacles, we have the Two of Cups, and I would guess that that is like a perfect moment. But here, as I'm looking at the card, I'm also seeing in this Two of Cups, the woman has her hand over her belly. And this might literally be like transferred from the mother, right? But with some perfect condition happening. And then we have possibly a mother reference here in the womb. Then we have the witch practicing witchcraft and the blood. And as it moves forward, we get another seven. It's the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups is usually about artistic expression. What the hell are we looking at? Now, what happens in the seven, the person is doing this painting of all of these cups, and they're doing this sort of really abstract painting of the cups, being this weird fish totem thing. But the act of doing that allows you to see what is actually happening inside of you emotionally in some deeper way. And I wonder if this might be sort of a suggestion to try to express the emotions in some sort of artistic way. It would be tricky because the emotions that come up are revulsion and disgust and anger and hate, right? So, boy, trying to express them in some way that you can look at them to try to see where it comes from, I guess. So maybe this is like some sort of medicine card. But first, I'm just going to pull a card to see if there is a common thread, right, with people that suffer from this condition. And it's the Three of Swords. So, heartbreak and betrayal. Again, we have another reference to blood as the person here is drawing their finger across the tip of this blade. But this is old, deep heartbreak and betrayal. I think it's really toxic emotional energy that's just really fucking old. Now, the reading that I did last night, and this wasn't a reading that I recorded, I was just sort of trying to find this shit out for myself. It did show that basically the environmental factors that cause misophonia triggers, they literally do represent amazingly toxic emotional energy, at least toxic to the people that have misophonia. And it was like that energy was so toxic that we have to get away from it. It would fucking poison and kill us otherwise, right? Could you imagine anyone that has this condition? Could you imagine if you were not able to cover your ears or close your eyes, and if you were just not able to get away from the triggers? I mean, that would end really badly for the person who's being triggered and for any person that's around them, right? It would end up really, really bad. But it's possible that there, I guess, is something within us that just has to get away from whatever is causing the triggers, because for whatever reason, that's really fucking toxic energy for us to be around. So that would also lead to the natural conclusion that if you are in a space that has constant triggers, you should probably get out of there. If it's like I had a deal where I was in an apartment surrounded by barking dogs on every side, above and below me in this apartment, and on all fucking four other walls, right? And I had to move. Like it was before I hurt somebody, I had to move. It was the worst. Okay. So, anyway, back to the reading. We've got this Three of Swords showing the common thread. And I am currently reading this as old heartbreak and betrayal. Now, this is something that I've wondered about before. We also have a reference back here to the shadow because we've got the person with the Three of Swords in the front, and you can see also their shadow on the back. And I felt like this had to be connected in some way to shadow realm energy or some fucking thing like that. But it could come to us or have a common connection with our shadow self. Okay. Well, one thing before I pull this next card, because the next card that I pull is going to be like, is there some positive? Is there anything good that can be pulled out of this condition? But as I've thought about it a lot, I have come to the conclusion that misophonia has given me the ability to control rage and hatred, to control it at least physically, right? I'll still go through it, but I have gained the ability to make sure that I don't start swinging at people or stabbing them or whatever, right? And I think that in some way is a superpower. Like being able to control your rage and hatred when it gets to that point and like actually not go off and hurt someone. I feel like that is some sort of superpower. But let's see if there's anything else that the cards have to say for a potential positive of this condition. And we get a reversed Four of Pentacles. Jeez. I mean, I'm going to pull one more on this because I don't really know what the hell we're looking at here. And we get a reverse Temperance card. So this is the inability to be balanced and patient and understanding. And I mean, the reverse Four of Pentacles is like waiting for someone else to let go of something in order to sort of move along with you. But the true way that I would read both of these together is the answer of no. Probably not. There might not be a fucking positive. All right. Now, so I'm going to ask whether or not this is like more of a case because it feels to me, honestly, like there are fucking goblins in my head, right? So let's just see if this is more of like a spiritual possession kind of thing. And what do we get? Knight of Swords. So I've thought about this a lot. The Knight of Swords is the defender. This is the territorial defender. And one thing, I mean, this kind of goes along with those sounds and movements and whatever the triggers are, they might actually be bad for us. And the Knight of Swords is the protector. So this is like the natural defense mechanism that would actually get us away from that. Now, how someone smacking their fucking food would be truly toxic, I do not understand. But the reaction that I have in my body definitely would get me away from them, right? So, if that truly is poisonous in some way, then this is the method we have of protecting ourselves. The other thing that I have thought about that would lead into this Knight of Swords, now, in the old Norse stories at least, they had berserkers. And the berserkers would lose their fucking minds on the battlefield and they would like kill everybody, right? And I've often assumed that the energy of misophonia was very similar to the energy that the berserkers had to experience. And this might be like if we needed to suddenly turn into some kind of super soldier, or at least, a fucking crazy berserk attacker, misophonia would definitely do it, right? I mean, if we had to have that energy unlocked in a split second, that's exactly what happens. So it might be some sort of inborn like soldier aspect, or I shouldn't say soldier because that's like a trained thing. This isn't. This is like a fucking berserker, right? And maybe it's like a last thing that's put into us to keep us safe. If we end up in certain situations, we can just fucking go fully berserk. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to put a card here to see what the Knight of Swords is kind of attacking or defending against. The Eight of Wands, boy. I'm really seeing the blade here. Um, and it is a scythe, like a death card thing. We also have the crow bringing the message, so it might be. Boy, I don't fucking know. I'm gonna pull one more on this actually, because this doesn't make the most sense to me. So to find out more about the Eight of Wands, we get the Seven of Wands. Dang. I mean, honestly, the only real thing that I would connect these to, something about the forest or the plants or something like that, like connect or defending against shit. I don't even know. But boy, it's like defending against a certain kind of plant. That's fucking weird. Like, I don't know. I don't really know. I would like to hear what anyone else thinks of this, especially if you also have this particular neurological condition. Um, what do you make of the Seven and the Eight of Wands here, as far as what that condition is making us defend against, right? Well, all right. So, in my experience, this isn't something that decreases with time. There is absolutely no treatment for it at all. And from the time I was a kid, I think it's actually gotten worse. And I think that's usually the case with people. So let's see if there's anything we can do to like understand or maybe decrease its hold on us. Well, we have a root card of a Knight of Cups and the main card of the reversed Nine of Cups. The Knight of Cups is a spiritual seeker. And the Nine of Cups is generally about confusion. There's so much shit going on that the person doesn't really know what the hell's happening. They get really confused. When this thing is upside down, now there's a couple things. One might be to try to grab on to one piece of external stimuli and maybe try to focus on that one thing. But in my personal experience, the only thing that helps is to literally plug my ears or like wear headphones with loud music in it or something. But maybe trying to pull one thing out of like a swirling mass of confusion. The Knight of Cups, we have the spiritual seeker. Now, one of the other ways that I can read this is maybe set the intention spiritually to sort of reach out, maybe in dreams or something. And here we do have a person summoning a genie. So maybe trying to reach out to whatever spiritual entity would maybe fucking know what the hell is going on, or maybe one that could help you deal with this in some way. And that's all a very personal thing, like what you would reach out to or whatever, or even the message you would get. But to be honest, this doesn't look very promising as far as finding some sort of a relief, we'll say. What else can I think of to ask? I guess I'm just going to pull a card for what I haven't asked. Like, what do I need to know about this that I haven't bothered to ask about yet? Nothing is really screaming out at me here. I guess we get an Ace of Wands and a Four of Cups, and still I'm going to say that even as I shuffled, there wasn't any card that was just screaming to come out. But with these, boy, I mean, this I wouldn't imagine, have anything to do with misophonia necessarily at all. But here we have a person who is bored. It's emotional stagnation. And here the Ace of Wands is a source of passion and creativity. So maybe, I guess, just try to minimize your actual fucking boredom and try to make sure that you have some sort of passion outlet, and maybe that can help get some of that piss and vinegar out of there. But I guess so. That's probably worth trying. Now, if you do have any ideas about any of these cards, feel free to let me know. And if you also suffer from this, what I really want to know is how you feel about the goblins in my head metaphor that I use. I don't think it's a metaphor, actually. I think it's real. I literally think there are fucking goblins in my head. So I would like to know what anyone else with misophonia feels about that. Does that sound right to you? Because I don't know. So that's what we have for now. Feel free to let me know what you think, and peace.